Made in Hollywood.
When a mission goes south, Tom Cruise and his team are forced to race against the clock in order to avert a nuclear crisis in Mission Impossible: Fallout.
Hi, I'm Simon Pegg. You're watching Made in Hollywood, and this is a scene from Mission Impossible: Fallout.
You had a terrible choice to make in Berlin. One life over millions. And now the world is at risk.
This is the CIA's mission. If he had held on to the plutonium, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
His team would be dead.
Yes, they would. That's the job.
I need to ask you about the scene when you jump out of the military plane. You guys are parachuting down. Was that all practical? Because so many of the stunts in this film are practical stunts, of course.
Okay, there is skydiving. Skydiving is one thing, but a halo jump is an entirely different thing. The oxygen required to do that, and then the skills in the air are very different from flying in a wind tunnel.
And on top of that, you have to act.
Yes, of course, and then act. Then get it right, because you only have one shot at this.
One shot. You
Yeah.
only do that in one take. The stunts are insane in this movie. People will think that it's green screen. They're not. They're real stunts. But on top of that, you're actually doing your own stunts. You broke your ankle. Was there one stunt that actually low-key terrified you?
No, the adrenaline's definitely going on these stunts, there's no question. I mean, when you're hanging off a helicopter and having to drop from the helicopter skid down into that bag, or when we're flying the helicopter and you're just a couple of feet off the rock wall, the rotor blades. So it got my attention, most definitely. I was always paying attention.
Thing is, it doesn't matter for Tom if we're jumping off a 120-foot building or if he's doing a halo jump. We're sitting in a car and it's a hill. It's not scary compared to anything else that he does in the film.
Yeah.
But we'll laugh and joke, and then all of a sudden he'll go, right, safety briefing, everyone. And I'm thinking, I have a safety belt on. What can happen? And he goes, when we embrace, when you hit your head, you can hit your head on this. He's so calculated, and he's right.
It really made me realise what a master he is, because you hear him doing all the stunts for real, and you watch him do the stunts for real, but to actually see it in person and see how he does it is extraordinary.
That's job one on these movies. Is we want to do it in a way you've never seen, and we want to put you right there in the action. And having Tom there to do it allows us to do that.
Yeah. Now I look at Henry. Henry looks at me. He goes back and he gets his gun.
Normally, you would have green screen or blue screen. Everything is kind of done in post. And when you watch this movie, you kind of think that because that's what we're used to. But it's so cool to think these are all practical stunts. You guys actually did that.
It's one of the best things about this movie is that you get to live the experience because you know it's real human beings and real scenarios. The audiences, we all know these days that half the stuff is CGI. But when you know it's a Mission Impossible movie, you know it's not CGI.
It's exciting, and I think it as Tom understands very, very clearly, it adds another level of enjoyment for the audience because they're watching something that's actually happening.
God.
Were you bummed that you didn't get to really be in all of the action at all of the different locations?
That might have been nice to see me in that way, but not completely bummed. Because when you see some of this action and you're holding on to your seats,
I really
you
actually
might
was on the
think-
edge of my seat.
Right. I was too, so was I. A number of times.
You don't understand what you're involved in.
You need to walk away.
Please don't make me go through you.
Women play a very powerful role in this movie. Was that something that the director and you spoke about when you first sat down to talk about this film?
Honestly, not really. We spoke about my character and the strength of my character, who she was, her position, the position of authority. But I wasn't aware of the other women. That was just, that was a happy revelation.
I think for Chris, it was about the story per se and the different characters' arcs, whether they are men or women. But I think something that's wonderful is that every person he brought back and introduced serves a purpose to the story.
All the women have such different energies and personalities, but equally as strong in different ways, and that was a very important aspect, really. And it should be for these movies now.
How many times has Hunt's government betrayed him, disavowed him, cast him aside? How long before a man like that has had enough?
Your character goes through quite a bit of a progression since Mission Impossible 3. Can we talk about kind of like the arc that he's been through?
Yeah, I mean, in Mission Impossible 3, he was just a sort of lab tech, and in the last part of the movie, he helps guide Ethan through Shanghai, and he breaks a few rules, and I like to think he got a taste for adventure and submitted himself for the field agent program. Still the same guy, still questions everything, still isn't afraid to voice his his fears and his doubt. He's definitely changed.
And I love that Simon is also given now the arc of being in the field and being not only the goofy, funny character, but actually kicking ass as well.
How is he?
Well, you know, same old Ethan.
Tom Cruise can stunt ride a motorcycle, stunt drive a car, he can hold his breath for 6 minutes or something ridiculous. He can stunt fly a helicopter in the mountains, he can stunt fly a plane in formation. All of these things are skill sets which I do not have.
He's really very dedicated, and he's not afraid for Ethan to look vulnerable.
He worked incredibly hard, and he aims to deliver.
What the hell is he doing?
I find it best not to look.